Hello and welcome. This is our first Facebook Live for December 2020, and we are super excited to be welcoming John Chibuk as our guest today. So let's bring him on. There we go. Good morning, John. How are you?
Morning. How are you? Good.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I am in lovely Santa Barbara. Where are you?
Downtown Toronto.
Downtown Toronto. And what's the weather there?
It's actually sunny today, so that's good. Better than just like 5 stormy days. I don't know. I find my mood that's the weather a lot. So.
Oh yeah, it's cold there. How about snow? Did you get snow yet?
Yeah, we got some yesterday. So
Ooh, how much?
Just maybe like half inch.
Okay. And then Toronto, I know it's a city, but how much snow do you typically get in a winter season?
All over the place. Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago we barely had any, and then we've also had like mountains of snow.
Wow. Geez, I'm a planner. How do you plan for that?
You can't. You're just like, oh, okay, well, this is there. So.
Lots of snow. Amazing. I'm only barely 5 feet, and I remember one time when I was little, the snow was taller than me, and that was without the shoveling. And I'm back. I used to live in New Jersey when I was little, so that was fun. So great. Well, it is wonderful to have you here. And I'm really excited to talk with you because we had a really big launch this week in the BCI section. And that is about our headset. If anybody's interested, please go to one.cognition.com and there's all the information there. We have a beautiful reveal of what the headset looks like and a lot of information. But right now we're here to talk to John and find out what you've been up to in the brain-computer interface space. John, your LinkedIn is very impressive, and I know that you've been in this space for a number of years. So I'm very interested, and I'm sure the people watching are interested to hear what you're up to. And also, we can see these little attachments on your glasses. So I hope that somewhere in here, you'll be able to reveal what that is also.
So I got my start kind of in the entrepreneurship space in my undergrad, where I did engineering. But before that, I was like a pretty childhood experimenter. I remember recollecting with Steve, so Dr. Steve Mann is co-founder in Blueberry, and so one thing that I find interesting with him is we try to reflect on things that we worked on in our childhood together, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
So he tells me stories about him like playing with oscilloscopes with his parents or with his dad.
Because that's what all kids do, right?
Yeah. Trying to understand things that can't be seen in a more human way. But for myself, I actually experimented with solar panels quite a bit growing up as a child. So I don't know where that came from, but that was my hobby, was making solar panels.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's super weird. But I guess things happen for a reason. And from that, I learned kind of an interest in electronics and then computer software, or trying to understand computers and how to like control things or how to better understand things that are happening around us to turn that into like real information. But I think during my undergrad degree, I really started to take a keen interest in entrepreneurship and started to experiment a lot with a variety of different kind of things, whether it's software or electronics or even just like side businesses that have nothing to do with computers. But it's a fun world to try and
yeah, because when you're 18, working on a brand new company is typical. So you say entrepreneurship. How many companies did you work with or work on?
I would put them more as like projects rather than companies. I've only taken one business or worked on one business that I would say is like a business or a thing that turned into something that then kind of had a scenario with it. But before that, probably like 20 different projects in my life that I've worked on in some shape.
That is so important. So important, John, especially in the space of being an entrepreneur. They say fail big, fail hard, fail a lot, right? And that's the thing, is you have to have courage to do this. And I love that about you is, you seem like somebody who's such a pioneer in the space. So you mentioned someone, Steve Mann. Can you tell us who he is?
Yeah, so Dr. Steve Mann is one of the forefathers, or he's coined by IEEE as the father of wearable computing. So like one of his first things that he worked on in his childhood was this like wearable briefcase computer that he used to kind of amplify signals around him to try to understand like how electricity flows, how like radar signals or like ambient light signals could be turned into alternate forms of signals. So he's got
Wow.
probably the most in-depth experience in the kind of wearable technology space, and it's done a lot of the kind of pioneering work in what a lot of us work on today.
Right. Can you also expand on what wearable technology encompasses?
Sure.
I know it's huge.
Yeah. So depending on who you talk to, some people put smartphones in the category of wearable
Oh.
technology. To smartwatches, smart glasses, VR headsets, helmets, any body-worn sensor. And if you go to like a true fundamentalist, they'll put like eyeglasses themselves in the wearable technology space because it is helping us see better, and it is technology.
Yeah.
And we go even deeper. A T-shirt is a piece of wearable technology because without us, or with like us naturally, we don't actually wear clothing. So.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Whereas I was actually being very focused, and I was thinking, you know, when these watches first came out, or these bracelets that are data collection, like to me, like, ooh, that's wearable technology. But this is great to learn that, you know, it can be as simple as something that is communicating information. Love that. Okay, so that definitely brings me to, can you tell us about Blueberry?
Sure. So Blueberry, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create like a really simple methodology that a person can better understand what is happening with their mind and what is happening around them. And how we accomplish that is we have a piece of technology called functional near-infrared spectroscopy. Like temples of your head. You can start to understand how blood flows in surface brain tissue. And so this can be an indication of increasing or decreasing amounts of brain activity. And what we've done is we take that and we try to categorize it into understandable pieces of information. So think estimating perceived levels of stress or perceived levels of energy. Try to extrapolate things like heart rate or heart rate variability, and then take those in combined with what is happening around you. So on the left side of my head is this brain sensor, and then on the right side is a little pod that is a camera that periodically takes photos. And as these photos get taken, we overlay the brain sensing data so that a person can start to look back historically and see what things kind of caused them more stress, more energy, caused them more interest, or made them more distracted, and get a more holistic understanding of their day and try to make
That's fantastic. So when this is commercialized and mainstreamed, what about privacy? So if I'm talking to my ex and all of a sudden my blood pressure starts to go up, do I have to get his approval to be a part of my data collection?
For sure. So from our perspective, the data that is generated from the individual is owned by the individual. So even right now, like this could operate completely without connecting to the internet, and it could just be like an old smartphone, or sorry, an old camera, smart camera, you know, where you have like a micro SD that has like data on it with images and other information.
Right.
That is also how this operates. So there's like a little SD card in here that you can plop out, put into your computer, and only you would have access to that because you're not sharing that with anyone.
Right.
Internet connectivity or backup or sharing option is always like an intention or opt-in, not a default opt-in.
It's amazing. So I know that this is exciting in the space of healthcare, and you know how you can use that obviously for long-term diagnosis and so many things. But I'm actually thinking about social media. So you know, instead of pulling out your phone to take a picture, could I just grab a video or a snapshot and I could put it with my heart rate, and I could post that and be like, look, I was, you know, at the theme park today, and this is what, you know, my my data readings were while I was going down the roller coaster. That would be incredible.
Yep, that's exactly it. So that's kind of like the intention, but ensuring that a person like only shares what they want to share. And that's even a hard thing. And it also gets into like a complex understanding of what and if information should be shared. So one thing that we learned with some of our early testers in having a camera was redacting or removing people's faces as a default setting.
Right.
Because people might not want their photo to be taken a lot of the time, or people might not feel comfortable. So that's
yeah, so much to think about.
yes.
I love the space that you're in, John. It definitely brings up all of these security questions, HIPAA, regulations, and so many things. But you have to start somewhere, and that is our responsibility as visionaries and pioneers. Is we can bring the idea, and then other people come in and help us to shape it and make it acceptable with everyone. Okay, so that's what's going on now. What do you see for the future? I mean, you are absolutely on the cutting edge of this, and I feel like you've kind of just talked about the future, but as we continue to move forward, like what could be beyond this?
I mean, like some of the things that we're trying to think through or trying to, I guess, even work through as like a theory standpoint would be what happens if multiple people in the same room are wearing this type of like sensing kind of capacity, and how does that if you and I are both talking, can this kind of increase our capacity to communicate or make ourselves like, feel like we're more connected in some way? That is an interesting kind of question that we're trying to think through. And if there is even a piece of technology that could be added to this that might enable that.
I love that. I wonder if we could think of a piece of technology that was in brain-computer interface and communication. I actually can share this. I'm so excited because this is the first time that I've been able to publicly share this. So let's see if I can get a good picture here. One more. Yeah, that would probably be the best. So this is the headset that we revealed on Monday, and we are calling it the CX1. You see here is the heads-up display, and in here is the cell phone. So you have an iPhone here, and then back here is where you work. This is all of the electrodes that are touching, and it's non-invasive, and I'm assuming yours is also, correct, John?
Yeah, that's it.
And it's super important because I don't think anybody's going to get excited about, getting one of these and it's actually going into their brain to get right to get information. So we're working in the space of EEG. Is that the same signals that you are collecting?
No. So we're using like a light-based technology versus electrical signals.
That's amazing. So can you explain that a little bit more? You said light-based technology.
Yep. So what we're using is infrared light, similar to some forms of heart rate monitoring, except if you pick a certain like wavelength of light and a certain distance of the detector that's picking up the light, as infrared light gets emitted, it will bounce back or get reflected off of tissue and then get picked up by the detector. So versus EEG, which is looking at the electrical signal or the electrical impulse across skin tissue.
Interesting. So if you're using light, does that mean that there's actual changes in the brain going on as you think?
Yes. Yeah. So we're looking at blood flow changes. So you could, if we were to compare this as to something that might be more widely well known, think of it as like a really or like a single point on an MRI. Like blood flow changes into one region of brain tissue versus an MRI that's scanning or taking blood flow changes across the entirety of the head.
Fantastic. I'm going to put this away now. It's my little toy. I hope to have one myself one day and I could just put it on. I did that in a previous one with the Oculus. I was so excited. Chris McKelly. He is one of our neuroengineers on our team, and he's also based in Canada. And he has some great questions for you. I'm going to put one up here for you right here. So Chris says, how many sensors do you have now?
So right now it's one sensor. There's 3 LEDs, and then there's 2 detector spots. It is meant to remove noise or pick up blood flow from more surface skin tissue. And then the second detector is picking up the changes in deeper skin tissue penetration.
Interesting. And so our location is at the back where the visual cortex is located, and we're picking up that information, obviously, again, EEG signals. And yours seems like it's at the temporal area. Does that, is that specific to the type of information that you are trying to capture?
We actually picked it more for people's like behavior of what people are willing to wear. So we tried a wide variety of form factors, and then just ended up placing it on the temple because that worked well for like headbands or glasses as well.
Right. You don't want one of these right across your forehead.
Yep.
Wonderful. Well, this has been
like slower. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. There's a lag. Definitely. Please continue.
Oh, I was going to say that we're looking at changes over a really long period of time. So that lends itself to kind of a more easier way to kind of wear something for a longer period.
So fascinating. I loved this. And let's see, Chris is coming up with another great question. He says, let me see, can you say it again? Okay, we got that. And then I do have another good question. Why do you have a pod on the right one and on the right and one on the left?
Yeah, so one right now, one is, so the left side is the brain sensing, and then the right side is the camera.
It's the camera.
But in the future,
Fascinating. Okay, well, this has been absolutely exciting. I love the great questions that we have in here. Hopefully, John, you come back and answer a couple of them in there if we haven't answered them live. This has been, I feel like, cutting edge tech. I'm wondering if this is going to be in my Christmas stocking next year, because I love tech, so I am an early adopter. I would love to do this. You would love to see the May's Day from my perspective, I'm sure. It's very exciting. And my messages are just always going crazy. So this would be wonderful.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us, John. We'll catch up with you next year.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, I always think like this was the best show. And now today I feel like this was the best show. This was so exciting just to see all of the fantastic things that are going on out there. I'm actually going to bring this one back up to show you how amazing the new headset is. We just launched it on Monday. You can go to one.cognition.com to find more information. And then, of course, we also have the Speak Pros app, which brings you the BCI What's New, What's Next episode. If you are interested in finding out more about that, please connect with me. We have Speak Pros 3 coming out in the next couple of weeks, and we have some really exciting things to share with you. And hopefully that's what I'll be sharing here on our Facebook Live very soon. So thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.